thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of this panel and discussion. I am Stella Okeahialam, I'm Deputy Director and Head of Operations at the Defence and Security Organisation, part of the Department for International Trade, DIT. So while my role is not a specific project delivery role at the moment, I do like to think that I have project delivery in my DNA, and I often get accused at work and at home of turning everything into a project. But I strongly believe that the fundamentals of project delivery are crucial for a lot of the work that we do in the civil service. So reflecting on the impact that COVID-19 and lockdown has had on major projects, it's been a really interesting one. The Department for International Trade doesn't have as many projects as some departments, but COVID-19 has certainly had a huge impact in the way that we operate as a department. It's done more to challenge the ways that we work, existing ways of working in the last 12 weeks than ever before. But there have been positives, and some of the positives include, as a department, we now have better use of technology, different approaches to the ways that we work, and actually closer attention is being paid to the resilience and well-being. And as a project delivery community and wider, I think we've been able to prove just how resilient and adaptable we are. And I think our ability to manage change is probably much greater than we realised, which is a good positive. There have also been challenges, so lots of successful delivery, but clearly some frontline services have been affected by not being able to physically be in the offices and in places of work. And so we might need to think about how we approach those in the future. And again, while some departments have adapted really well to remote working and flexible working and the new technology, we mustn't forget that we are individuals and that the one-size-fits-all approach doesn't always work for everybody. So we must remember that. With specific reference to project delivery, what I would say is that certainly in the case of DIT, some projects, the actual lockdown has accelerated some projects, but it's also raised some issues and concerns for others. So one example to illustrate this would be the Working Environment and Culture Programme, which is made up of a number of projects, such as Places for Growth, Smarter Working, etc. Before the lockdown, we had a really clear idea where some of these projects were going and our ideas for them, but clearly we're having to reconsider some of those approaches in light of the changes. Smarter Working, as an example, 6 months ago, we had concerns about how we would sell smarter working in relation to ways of working and perceptions around flexible working, etc. within the department. Well, actually, COVID-19 has completely changed that. And so while remote working is not the same as smarter working, the elements around how we've used technology, the speed and efficiency with which we have deployed it and now use completely new technology is to be applauded, and in many ways will accelerate the smarter working project. On the other hand, one of the projects was the move to a new site, bringing 4 different sites together into one location. And I think we are really going to have to rethink some of the original plans and approaches. So previously, we would have been going down a traditional route of trying to group people in teams, thinking about desk ratios, etc. Whereas now we actually have to rethink how we use our spaces. How do we make them collaborative? How do we make them flexible enough so that we can adapt in relation to social distancing, but actually other changes as they evolve? So a completely new set of challenges that we're having to work through, and obviously shifting where the project was before lockdown. So really, to conclude, I think post-COVID, we have a really good opportunity to look at the system as a whole and make sure that we just don't go back to how it used to be. We'll need to spend some time really understanding what the impact has been, what the full implications are, and recognizing that it will take a while before we fully understand what we may have missed and what indeed we need to learn. So I think as sort of a profession, and indeed wider, we've got to focus on learning and evolving on a very regular basis. We need to understand what changes we want to keep, but what changes we don't want to keep will be really important. And while not as a direct result of the lockdown, I don't think we can afford to ignore the fact that parts of our communities are more impacted by some policies and projects that we deliver. The fact that the BAME community has been disproportionately affected by COVID-19, and obviously the issues raised through recent focus on racial inequality in the UK and abroad, should implore us to really reflect, learn lessons, and ensure that we improve. We need to actively work towards avoiding unintended consequences of any of our projects and policies on any part of our communities. So finally, I think all the lessons that we learn today and in the future, we really need to understand what they mean for the project delivery profession. The evolution of the profession needs to build on these lessons, and that will be key to improving delivery of major projects as we go forward and will ensure maximum benefits for all our citizens.